where I felt कि ये तो मतलब छप्पर फाड़ चीज हो गई है is when Rajni sir, Mr. Rajnikant, messaged Shankar sir saying he saw the show and he really liked it. Wow. And they were like, oh, the gods watched it.
The pressure that OTT is putting on film. People are now expecting film to play catch up in many ways.
I actually landed a film with Kumar Shani, who's this real veteran of this. Yeah, and my mother had actually told me that if you do the film, you cannot come back to the house again.
So I started as a professional actor when I was 30 years old, and I did my first film when I was 35 years old. Oh. So I started really late. And I was in engineering college, then I dropped out from engineering because I couldn't do it.
This is Nawaz Kochra joining you on screen, and I am with the very amazing team of Bandish Bandits. Hello, congratulations for the second season.
Thank you. Thanks, Nawaz. Thank you so much.
You know, first season jab aaya tha, it was the lockdown. It was, people were confined to their homes. At that time, I remember the craze that Bandish Bandit eventually, it grew. Initially nahi tha, but there was one fine day that it happened. For each one of you, what was that moment when you all realized that, oh my God, this show has just gone big?
But as you said, it was not a moment.
Yeah, it wasn't a single.
Yeah.
It gradually went there. Yeah. And maybe after 7-8 months, we started realizing how big Bandish Bandits is.
Okay.
So I think that is a thing which tells us that it deserved it. It was not because of publicity, it was not because of anything else, but it was because of its own merit.
Right.
And people started owning the show, and people started recommending it. People started listening to the songs. They started telling other people, and when people were traveling in one car, the other people would listen to Bandish Bandits music, and then that person would tell, "Aapne dekha nahi, yaar zarur dekhiyega." So that kind of, I think, love is a permanent love. And that is the reason why people have been asking us for last 4 years that when are you coming with your second season?
And finally, here it is just a few days away.
Yeah.
But Ritwik, I want to ask you that Bandish Bandits got you the popularity, but it also got you a very different level of female attention.
Okay,
what was the most flattering compliment you got?
Most flattering compliment? Oh my God, I can't think of one, but I definitely got a lot of compliments after season 1 came out, and I was very happy about it. But I can't place one right now. But can I actually say something which has nothing to do with like female attention? Yeah. So one moment, as you were asking, and as Sir said, and fully agree with him, and so much so that even till today, while we are marketing it, we are realizing even more and more how big the show was received as. But that one moment where I felt कि ये तो मतलब छप्पर फाड़ चीज हो गई है is when Rajni sir, Mr. Rajnikant, messaged Shankar sir saying he saw the show and he really liked it. Wow. And they were like, oh, the gods watched it.
Amazing. Sheeba ma'am, I have always, loved watching you on screen, whether it was Dil Se or whether it was Hum Dil De Chuke Sanam. Like, that charm, that persona on screen has always been so beautiful. And if I'm not wrong, 26 years ho chuke hain aapko. In these 26 years, even today, I want to know how much as an actor your perception towards the craft has changed, and if it has evolved. Was there a particular moment in your career where it just changed, or it happened gradually? Perception
of craft, I don't think that's valid for me in one way. I don't how do I say? I don't think too much or investigate too much into the whole craft thing. Okay. But I think I can safely say that just with the sheer experience, by the virtue of doing it, over a period of time, it adds to your skill. So comfort, I suppose, increases with time. But craft, I don't know. I genuinely don't investigate it. But comfort for sure.
Was there a certain perception, before you entered the industry? Was there a certain perception about the industry which changed over time?
really came with none, you know, came with very blank slate, came with a very essentially a theatre background. So the industry was honestly just a way to pay the bills. That's how I perceive the industry as, because I always position myself as a theatre person. How that sort of organically changed over time is something, again, I've not kept track of, but it did. So there was no perception of the industry which sort of transformed into anything. I think I just sort of fit into and flowed with
went with the
as the you know, stuff happened in the industry. And
Rajesh sir, for you it's been 30 years, if I'm not wrong. This is the 30th year, 1994 it all started.
Well, I started with Shanti.
Yes.
Yeah.
So आपका क्या perception था इस industry के बारे में, which probably changed over the years?
मतलब मेरा परसेप्शन तो कुछ था ही नहीं। सच में वो जैसा शीबा कह रही हैं कि ऐसा कुछ परसेप्शन लेके नहीं आया था। मेरा परसेप्शन अपने बारे में ही बनाने में लगा रहा मैं कि मैं ठीक हूँ नहीं हूँ, फिट हो रहा हूँ कि नहीं हो रहा हूँ, दूसरों की तरफ ध्यान नहीं दिया। लेकिन हाँ, इंडस्ट्री में काफ़ी बदलाव हुआ है उसके बाद से लेके अब तक, वो अपेरेंट है। और क्या कहूँ, इससे ज़्यादा कुछ कहने को नहीं है।
Also, I was reading somewhere online that you are also a poet.
I still do write poetry.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, you know, are we going to see some poetries from you in season 2?
Not poetries.
पर अभी सुना
बट जो सीजन 2 में जो हरकतें हुई हैं उससे ये शायर हो जाएगा।
बट अगर आपकी एक कोई फेवरेट पोएम जो आप हमें सुना सके, इट विल बी लवली।
मैं एक फेवरेट पोएम, क्या मेरी एक पोएम है जो तमन्ना और राधे पे बड़ी सूट करती है, जो इनका जिस तरह का प्यार है जिसमें मैं कमी यकीन करता हूँ, लेकिन वो ये है कि साथ आते रहते हैं, दूर जाते रहते हैं, ये इनकी अलग ही कहानियाँ हैं। तो वो है कि हम दोनों साथ आए, एक कहानी बनी, हम दोनों अलग हुए, 3 कहानियाँ बनी। एक तेरी कहानी जो तुझे समझ आई, एक मेरी कहानी जो मुझे समझ आई, और तीसरी एक अनकही कहानी जो बात कर लेते ज़रा तो दोनों को समझ आ जाती है। तो शायद इस बार ये बात करेंगे दोनों या सीजन 3 में तीसरी कहानी।
Atul sir, if I'm not
24
wrong,
years, I am junior to them.
I was reading somewhere 27th है ये. With
No,
the
no, no,
Kannada,
24 years.
with the-
Heram was my first film and it
Okay.
will complete 25 years next year.
Wow, Silver Jubilee
Yeah.
next year. And आपका क्या
हम लोगों ने
perception
बड़े
change
छोटे
हुआ
में
है?
शुरू कर दिया था।
हाँ, बचपन में चाइल्ड आर्टिस्ट थे ये दोनों।
आपका perception क्या change हुआ है about the industry?
परसेप्शन ऐसा कुछ पहले था नहीं, सो आई वाज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड विथ रील, जो 400 फीट का रील आता था, तो वहाँ से शुरू किया था। और पहले जो मेरे डायरेक्टर थे वो कमल हासन साहब थे, तो उन्होंने मुझे सिनेमा सिखाया एक्चुअली। तो वहाँ से तो बहुत ही, मतलब आज मुझे नहीं लगता कोई भी चीज़ सिमिलर है सिवाय ऑडियंस की अनरिलायबिलिटी। वो जितना अनरिलायबल तब था उतना ही अनरिलायबल अब है। हम कुछ सोचते हैं कि हम बड़े तीसमार खां हैं और वो हमें बता देता है कि नहीं बॉस, हमें कुछ और चाहिए। तो वो चीज़ छोड़ के बाकी सब कुछ बदल गया है इस इंडस्ट्री में।
Totally. And Kunal, what about you? Like, how has your perception also changed? Because आपको भी 2 decades से ज़्यादा हो चुके हैं।
जी,
हाँ, वही जान
24 odd years, yeah. No, 20.
21 if I'm not wrong.
98.
Wow.
98.
Yeah. When
I
I
am the junior most.
junior most. No, I started when I was very young on television. I think I entered having done few plays and having been on stage and having done some theatre. So for me, I didn't quite understand how the camera works because I was all of 17, 18. And I was still being very theatrical with my performances, very loud, very. I'm still very loud, but I've tried to tone it down over the years. But so that took me a few years to understand how camera picks up so much more, and you need to do so much less. So actually, my learning happened in front of camera. And it still happens. I mean, every time I watch people, every time I interact with other actors, I mean, you hopefully still learn. Cinema has changed. I think what the OTT space has done is that it's given rise to stories that are a little bit more rooted in reality than our films were. Our films are generally more fantastical, more larger than life, and I think OTT has brought in this whole realistic representation of a lot of situations, whether it's representation of love or relationships, or in Bandish Bandits, like the theme between the three of them, a mature love story, a love triangle almost, which gets underrepresented in popular mainstream Indian cinema back in the day. Now I think things have changed, but I think that is the pressure that OTT is putting on film. People are now expecting film to play catch up in many ways, with thematically, and that is what we need to push now in cinema, where people feel more connected to these stories, So it's always in this constant flux, and I love observing it from the outside. Yeah.
Wow. But for all of y'all, acting was always the plan. Like all of y'all wanted to become actors?
No, never.
I did, yes.
Not for me.
Always. I think I was 3 or 4 years old when I told my mother for the first time that मैं hero बनेगा after watching Bazigar, and that just stayed.
और क्या reaction था? What was the reaction back home?
But back then she chuckled, but by the time I was 13, 14, I told her that I'm actually serious about it and want to take it up as a profession. I really thought, like, she was in the kitchen, she was making something. I really thought वो करची उड़ते हुए आएगी मेरे ऊपर कि ये मैंने क्या कह दिया, because they were prepping to like make me a software engineer, and we were growing up in Bangalore. It was the thing. Then I said, but I want to be an actor. But she just very softly turned around and she said, I know, go. I said, okay, cool, done.
What about you, ma'am?
So I think at the time when we it was, as a profession, it was quite scary to think of it, because even the TV thing hadn't happened by that time, when we were in college and stuff. So air hostess, hotel receptionist, joining parents' business, all of that was there up in the thing, because how could you think of it as a profession, how you want to pay your bills? But I think became quite clear quite soon. I'd gone out to America to be there for 2 years, and I came back and the television boom had happened, which meant the television, like the thing had happened, there was television and people, actors were engaged and people were getting paid, and I said, wow, so ye to ho sakta hai. So then, because the only thing that gave one the biggest joy was to perform. Ye to clear tha. That much clarity one had, but one didn't know where one can go with it. So yeah, but that's the only thing that's really brought joy. Yeah.
But back home, what was the reaction?
No, I come from a total business family. They were like, Bhagwan ke liye. Like, I actually landed a film with Kumar Shani, who's this real veteran of this, and my mother had actually told me that if you do the film, you cannot come back to the house again.
Yeah?
I had to not do the film to get to work with Kumar Shani, and I couldn't do it. So, but then slowly, of course, as it is always, they come around, and the same family, like, uncle now will call us, we're so proud of you. So that always, I think most actors have that story.
Yeah.
Rajesh, so what about you?
I started doing theatre when I was 12. तो बिल्कुल बचपन में शुरू कर दिया था, लेकिन मेरी हिम्मत नहीं थी बोलने की कि एक्टर बनूंगा. बस थिएटर करता रहा. और मुझे लगा घर में कोई दूसरा बोल दे कि तू बन जाए. मेरी हिम्मत नहीं. और luckily my brother told me,
wow,
कि करो, I am with you, and that's how.
Amazing. But ghar par then everybody was supportive also.
Yes.
It also came from a family of artists, that helps a lot.
Atul, so what about you?
No, I come from a business family, and I had no connection whatsoever with any kind of art. Absolutely none. My father never even read newspaper, the daily newspaper, never. I went to National School of Drama when I was 27 years old. I passed out when I was 30 years old. So I started as a professional actor when I was 30 years old, and I did my first film when I was 35 years old. So I started really late. And I was in engineering college, then I dropped out from engineering because I couldn't do it. And there was a time when my mother stopped going to functions because what would she tell people कि ये engineering छोड़ के आया है वापस और क्या करेगा अब? And I mean it was वो छोड़ देते हैं ना कि इसका कुछ नहीं होने वाला. So I was that kind of a man by that time, not even boy. And then I joined an amateur group in Solapur and started doing theatre. And I hardly did 2 or 3 plays, I guess. And then I applied for National School of Drama. I got the admission, went there, 3 years, came out, and that's what. So it started very, very late for me.
But
Really.
back home, what was the situation, you know, when you even started off at the age of 30, for that matter?
So as I said, they were not expecting anything from me by that time. So yeah, absolutely.
जो करे अच्छा है. जो करे
So,
plus है.
and we incurred heavy losses in business. So business had closed down.
Okay.
So that door was closed. I had left engineering, so that door was closed. तो करेगा तो क्या करेगा ये? तो हाँ, मैं जो भी कर रहा था वो ठीक ही था. चलो ठीक है, दारू नहीं पी रहा है और सिगरेट नहीं कर रहा, तो उतना काफी था उनके लिए. So I still remember the only exposure that I had was Marathi commercial theatre, and they have buses, you know, regular sleeper coaches, these Marathi groups, and you know, actors and entire crew goes from one you know, town to the other in that bus, and every company owned you know, a bus. So I told my mother, I had a driving license then, and I said ki when I decided to go to NSD, so naturally she said ki how, what, this, that. So I said, you know, mom, if I can become an actor, great, but if I cannot, I'll be a driver, but I'll drive ye natak ka bus. I'll drive that. I won't drive anything else. तो उतनी समझ आ गई थी by the time I became man. तो started as an old man, यार.
But
Kunal, what about you? What was, you know, like, acting was always the plan for you?
No, I mean it's always something I did. I always had something else as a backup. So I was a photographer for a while. So acting was, because it was mostly theatre, and I did a little bit of television. Then I went, and then I didn't want to do too much more television. So then I went back to photography. And then because of theatre, a few more acting gigs happened. So it happened quite organically in that sense. It wasn't a plan that, I mean, I loved acting. I always loved acting. I loved cinema. I loved the stage. But I always knew that it's such a risky kind of space that you don't know where it's going to get you, right? So you need to have something else, like a skill that you can do and maybe just earn some money out of that. So I was doing photography, started doing ad shoots and you know, portfolios and things like that. So and then slowly, side by side with theatre, a few opportunities came, auditions happened, I landed a few roles, and then it just took off from there. So the advantage is that you are someone who lives in the city. You don't have the pressure, and the family was always do whatever you want. There was never any pressure from my parents to you know, to choose a stream, or they've been so flexible with whatever. So there was none of that pressure, which has always been an advantage. Yeah.
But had your brother paved the way, you know, for you also to come into the industry by then?
No, as in I entered well before them. So I mean,
so you paved the way for them?
Not really. I don't think anyone paved it for anyone. I mean, he was still in college when I was doing television. So. So I don't think that the paving of the way happened for any of us. We've all paved our own ways in a way.
Okay. Yeah. Are you still into photography? Or no?
I do some photography.
Yeah.
Yeah. You want portfolio?
I want.
Actually, it would be interesting to see what is the theme of portfolio that Kunal does for each one.
Thinking, because I have never seen that side of yours, but you are professionally
a professional
doing
photographer. Yeah.
Oh.
Studio and all of that, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah? And doing portfolios and
everything, yeah. Magazine shoots, advertising.
So that profession?
Yeah.
Oh,
so since
like
Atul
Baman.
dropped out, then
I
he
used
has
to work for
newfound
Baman.
respect now कि इसका तो एक और profession भी है.
No, that is quite something.
Quite
Yeah,
amazing.
to have one skill. अगर हमको कोई लेना बंद कर दे फिल्मों में, तो हम तो रास्ते पे आएंगे.
Actor लोग अक्सर ऐसी बातें करते हैं कि दूसरा कौन सी दुकान है.
You know, also we are kind of in an era of instant gratification today. and a lot of actors have also told this whenever we've spoken. Aaj OTT has become such an amazing space that there is a lot of opportunity, there is a lot of work. But here I'm sitting with actors who also come from an era where big screen was actually the big deal. So kahin na kahin wo satisfaction of big screen OTT mein nahi aata. Is that the case also at times as actors?
Like in terms of me, in terms of work and performance, मुझे कोई फर्क नहीं लगता at all. Of course, in the exploration of the role, there is way more. So there is more satisfaction in that sense because it's just more fleshed out. You just the long format allows you that. But when I go on a film set or I go on a OTT set, मुझे उसमें कोई फर्क नहीं लगता.
Right.
It's the same thing. Also because now the crews and everything is so osmotic. Yeah, very often you'll be working with the DOP who shot that Falan film or the actor who's for the Falan, it's all sort of like that. So the vibe and in terms of syntax and energy, it's pretty much the same. And I'm happy that it's that goldenness of the big screen is not like, it's not deified anymore in that way. I think nothing can replace either or experience. I don't think an OTT can ever replace the feeling one gets when one sits in a theatre and watches a film. It's like a dream, no? As it's like you're watching a dream, no? In a dark space, and it's very different. But it will never replace it. But I'm glad that there are alternatives also to it, and it's not just a single one thing that one must sort of put on a pedestal and deify.
Absolutely. What about you all?
मुझे जो क्या कहते हैं ना, सिनेमा का जो रोमांटिसिज्म है ना, वो ख़त्म नहीं हुआ है और वो मुझे लगता है ख़त्म होगा भी नहीं, चाहे OTT में ज़्यादा बेटर एक्सप्लोरेशन का मौका मिले या वो, लेकिन जो एक हॉल में, अंधेरे हॉल में सिनेमा डांसिंग लाइट्स के बीच में दिखना, वो जादू, वो जो रोमांटिसिज्म बचपन से लेके चले थे और जो सिर्फ पोस्टर देख के उसकी कहानी समझ लेते थे हम,
होती भी उतनी थी कितनी कई
और तो वो वाला जादू नहीं जाएगा.
Right. What do you think, sir?
I don't think it is either or, and this is neither the end of it. Okay. Right now we are talking about cinema and OTT. 2, 3, 4 years down the line, we'll be talking about a third medium or the fourth medium, because the way technology is, developing, it is something else. So it is never going to be either or. Everything is going to have its space.
Right.
And you cannot really compare, because the entire viewing is different. In cinema, you sit in a dark hall with 500 people and looking at a big screen. In television, it's a family viewing. In OTT, it is individual viewing. So the entire experience is different. So there is no real comparison for me. And because it is so different from each other as far as the viewing experience is concerned, the stories are going to be different. And right now, I think we are grappling, or rather we were grappling between which story to be told in which platform.
Right.
But slowly we have sorted it out in that sense. So in big cinema we write those, and West has done that much before us, because naturally they started before us. So now they have kind of figured out that this kind of a story would be told on a big screen, this kind of a story would be told in OTT and whatever. So that would, I think, change, or it will keep on changing, and more media, it will change more.
Absolutely. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with this. I think there are two ways to look at it. One is as an actor, and I completely agree that as an actor, when you enter it, it all depends on what the role is, what the arcs are, but you enjoy it and the processes are pretty much the same, whether it's OTT or film. As a viewer, if you ask me personally what this thing, then I prefer the shorter format. I prefer film because I like to finish something in 2.5 hours. I'm not a binge kind of guy. I can't go like hours and hours watching. I mean, and to each their own, but I like compressed information. Right. I like efficient storytelling, and I think that series spreads out things, and sometimes you find yourselves in lulls and pickups, and then and then you're waiting for story to move, and I see a lot of tricks that people use and are very transparent in series, which irritate me as a viewer. So it's a very personal
Bandish Bandits is a show that
has
is
none of
ऐसा कुछ नहीं है.
None of these issues.
it's a web show which you would binge watch,
Yeah.
unlike Mr. Kapur.
yeah, not like me.
What is your take on this, Ritwik? You know, the entire big screen charm versus the OTT.
No, but as Rajesh sir said, the romance of the romanticism of big screen is never going to go away. I've also grown up only watching cinema in the theatres, and then much later in television and all of that. And that love will always be there. And hopefully one day I'll see myself there and like blow a whistle or something.
Waiting for that day to happen soon.
Thank you.
मैं हीरो
Very
बनूंगा.
good, very good.
Thank you. मैं hero
हाँ,
बनूंगा.
मैं hero बनूंगा. But you know, lastly, I want to know this, that when it comes to listening to music, who do you all sway more towards, the gharana wala classical music or you know the royalty free wala modern music?
It's both for me. It's both for me. And Gharana wala classical music has come into my life with Bandish Bandits, and it's come in with such, I'm in love with it right now. I'm totally head over heels with classical music right now. But also I've grown up listening to a lot of royalty free kind of music.
Okay.
Yes.
What about you?
Yeah,
ma'am?
both, but for me, yeah, a lot of classical, but I listen a lot to jazz and rap now and blues, and I like that a lot as well. So वो बिल्कुल parallelly चलता है मामला. Yeah.
आप लोग के लिए?
मुझे तो घराना वाला ये
अच्छा.
म्यूजिक पसंद है. वो बाकी म्यूजिक मुझे समझ में भी नहीं आता.
Okay.
सच में नहीं समझ में आता.
I'm with you on that page because even I don't understand modern music so much. But what about you?
I'm waiting for the day when the Bandish would become the bandit. So the Gharana, when it'll start singing pop, I'm waiting for that day. That will be a real music.
तब शायद समझ में आना शुरू हो जाए.
That would
Or
be
is
a
it
real
already
music.
happening in this season?
हम तो नहीं.
From December on Amazon Prime Video.
But Kunal, what about you? Gharana music or royalty?
No, I like the Mishran.
Acha.
Mishran. I like them coming together. I think that's what the show is about.
Yes.
That's what the show is about, the give and take between different musical styles, and about how the universality of music, and that's what this show celebrates, and I think that's what appeals to me most is when it all comes together, and it does in this show.
Well, absolutely looking forward to this marriage of music with so many layers of storytelling and interesting, you know, characters coming to our screens on the 13th of December. On that note, wish you all the very best.
No, there is one more note, and congratulations to Screen for coming back.
Yes.
Thank you so
Congrats
much.
on that, because Screen is something like you said about big, screen. Screen was that thing for us, and congratulations on that, and
Thank
congratulations to the Express Group for bringing it back.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.